How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing really well. So I thought I'd branch out and cover another stock that I haven't looked at for a little while, but one that I'm still kind of following keenly, and that's because I've got like a long-standing position in it, that being Palantir. Just for context, my Palantir position I bought back in its hype rally back in 2020, 2021. I can't remember the exact year, but I bought it in at around $23, and so for a while I've actually been sitting in the hole. Obviously, 2023 has been a good year. We've captured a lot of growth, returned a lot of value to the stock, I suppose. I'm still down, but we're actually getting much closer to my purchase price. Obviously, AI, the buzzwords of AI is still, anything with AI is kind of viewed positively by the market at the moment. And Palantir is no different. It's just, I guess, the market's kind of seeing Palantir for what it is. It's, I guess, a first mover in AI data analytics solutions for business and the government. Now, obviously, recently, Palantir has had a couple of bumpy events. Obviously, we had like a major investor selling off what they estimate to be about $500 million worth of stock. And that kind of hurt the share price this week particularly. However, I think there was a bit of a late bounce back come Friday because of the news that the Army contract for $115 million was renewed for a 1-year extension. Obviously, that was a much bigger contract. It was a 4-year contract initially of about $480 million over 4 years. And, there was some conjecture whether or not Palantir would get another extension. I think everyone kind of thought there would be an extension to the contract, but some people were thinking it might be a little bit more, maybe a 2-year extension. Obviously, the reason cited is that the space of data analytics solutions is becoming a little bit more competitive. So Palantir, might not necessarily get as open a contract as they had previously, but still 1-year extension is good. Some were predicting a 2-year extension, but 1-year extension is good, and that's kind of helped the stock bounce a little bit late on Friday, I think, when it was announced. So that's what's kind of going on. Obviously, there's been a raft of new I guess business contracts for Palantir announced as well, and that's kind of expected. That's kind of where we thought there would be a lot of growth for the company on the business side, rather than the government contracts. Now, one thing that some people are raising concern about, but I don't think you should be concerned. It's just like the law of basic economics, really, that Palantir is having a slowing growth rate. That they were going from like 40% down to maybe only a 16% year-over-year growth. That's not totally at all surprising. It's the law of diminishing returns really at play here. So just for illustrative purposes, if say you had a business that only made $100 per year, the next year you made an extra $100, so you made $200 in that year, your growth was 100%. However, the year after, if you still manage to capture a further $100, so you've tripled in size, your year-over-year growth, however, is only going to be 50%. And it keeps going. So if you did another 100 to 400 the year after, you'd be 33.33%, and then so on and so forth. It's diminishing returns, and that's kind of what's going on with Palantir. They're not necessarily going to slow down as fast as that over time, but what's probably going to happen is there's just going to be, they're going to keep growing their revenue. It's not necessarily going to be like the super high rates that we had before, but that's just the way it is. It's going to be it's too hard. I don't think any company that size has the capacity to keep doubling its growth more or less every year, every 2 years. So you got to expect that there's going to be some slowdown in revenue, and then obviously with that slowdown in revenue growth, how much of that is factored into the current share price, it's hard to sort of say. 2024, I'm hoping that we're going to still see some continued positive momentum for the stock. Personally, my time horizon for the stock is kind of near where I think I want to stay in the stock for not much longer. I actually I'm looking forward to the day where the stock price is comfortably sitting at around my $23 purchase price, and maybe from there I might see how things are going and potentially sell up the position or just lower it anyway, just because it's been like a bit of a thorn in the side to hold for a few years. Like, that's the way things go. Some stocks it's very easy to buy a stock when it's going up, but holding it when it's going down can be really painful. And Palantir did go down for a while. There is a bit of macro news which might be considerably favorable for Palantir. The fact that, there's kind of rumblings that, that the Fed might actually start to ease interest rates, and that could be good news. Obviously, when they lower interest rates, it's going to encourage borrowing, and when you have cheaper borrowing, more people can invest, and those investments can happen, in businesses. So people are more willing to borrow money and potentially buy the services from Palantir, and that might, encourage people to buy, Palantir services. Furthermore, it also encourages like investment in assets too, because people can borrow money and put it into assets, and Palantir is obviously a stock that could benefit from that. So people might see a bit of shift of money towards the stock market. And furthermore, the other thing that could potentially give Palantir a bit of a bump in 2024 is the fact that it's supposed to be, or expected to get included in the S&P 500, and that might lead to a little bit of buying up short term anyway of the stock by index fund managers. A lot of them would already probably hold Palantir stock in some capacity. So whether or not when they have to rebalance these indexes, there is a buying frenzy of Palantir or not, it's hard to say. But some might need to add to their position significantly just to fill in that. But I guess we'll have to see what happens when that comes out. Anyway, so what are you guys' thoughts on Palantir? Do you think 2024 is going to be a year where we sort of see a continued extension of this great rally we've had in 2023? How high are you expecting it to get? I've seen people sort of saying that $30 is very achievable in 2024. Given what they're expecting in the macro climate, that is, I think quite possible. But, obviously anything can happen in the stock market. Share your thoughts on Palantir. Anything you think is worth knowing. I'd take a very community approach here. I love to hear from everyone. Till next, everyone, may the markets trade in your favor. Cheers.